What is the international reaction? What has it been to the latest events then in Rafah?
Well, the Israeli airstrikes on this camp for the displaced in Rafah on Sunday killed 45 Palestinians. Many graphic images emerged of people being engulfed in flames. Israel were quick to say that the attack was based on precise intelligence and that they had killed 2 senior officials from Hamas. But of course, the outcry from the international community came very quickly. First out of the gates, we heard from Qatar, a very important country in terms of the mediation talks that are taking place between Israel and Hamas, saying that the bombing will complicate these ongoing mediation efforts and hinder reaching an agreement for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. We also had commentary from Saudi Arabia condemning the attacks. UAE as well, also interesting because you will note, of course, that they signed the Abraham Accords with Israel a couple of years ago, so technically are at a state of normalization. But then beyond that, you want to look to some of the words used by European leaders. President Macron expressing, quote, outrage by these strikes, saying that these operations must stop. The EU's Joseph Borrell also saying that he was horrified by what happened. The US adding to the commentary and saying that they were very disappointed by these heartbreaking scenes. And it is noteworthy that later in the afternoon, the Prime Minister Netanyahu did actually go on to say that the Israeli strike in Rafah was a tragic mistake that they are investigating. The backdrop, of course, Tom, is that on Friday, the ICJ issued a ruling saying that Israel has to halt all military operations in Rafah. They did not listen.
Yeah, the response, as you say, from French President Macron was particularly noteworthy. When it comes to those talks then, and you nodded to this, Joumanna, you mentioned it, in terms of the role of Qatar, but the conversations going forward, if indeed they do go forward, around a potential truce between Hamas and Israel, to what extent does this just make that ever more complicated?
Yeah, so you have to look at the 2 incidents that have happened in the last 24 hours. It's not just the attacks on the Rafah camp for the displaced, but also there was an incident on the Egypt border where one Egyptian military, a person from the military, was killed in these cross-border fires with Israel as well. And this is also very significant because, as you know, Israel and Egypt signed their own peace agreement back in 1979. It's very rare to see hostilities between the 2 sides. Egypt also playing a crucial role in terms of the mediation efforts between Israel and Hamas here. And the Qatari Prime Minister, when we spoke to him back at the Qatar Economic Forum, said that a lot of these talks had been put on hold, namely because Israel had started with their incursion into Rafah, and that entering into Rafah is a red line for those talks to continue. But it seemed like a bit of progress had been made in the last couple of weeks. The bigger picture, Tom, is that Hamas officials are calling for a lasting truce and the withdrawal of Israeli forces. Israel says that those terms are unacceptable to them. So there's still a lot of daylight between the 2 sides.